Hello everyone, this is Highlander from MTG Cardsmith doing another custom Magic the Gathering card review. And today, excuse me, today we're reviewing another Undertale card by FireOfGolden. This is an instant called Papyrus's Death. It's 5 mana, uncommon, has split second, and player sacrifices target creature. If that was Papyrus the Greatest Skeleton, put 3+1/+1 counters on a creature you control. How sadly, Chara tilted head. He refused to believe you would be this way, and you surprised him anyway. Okay. Okay, so this card, okay, so let's talk about this card for a minute. I think there's a few issues with this one. Okay, let's get the formatting stuff out of the way. Art is a little off. It's not really in the Magic style. Again, this is kind of the price you pay when you make these reference cards to other IPs, and I've run into this myself a lot recently because I've also messed with reference cards. I was making some Lord of the Rings cards recently. And finding art that matches is difficult. It really is. So, you really pay a pretty big cost when you make a reference card, in that you make art difficult to find, and you potentially you could make some mistakes, or let me say it this way. You could rely too heavily on the fact that it's a reference, and some people won't get the reference, okay? And again, that's something I also ran into, right? So, making my cards. So, anyway. Okay, so we're talking about formatting. So, okay, art, comma after split second. We talked about that in the previous videos. I don't need to go over that again. And then there's grammatical issues here. So let me reword this for you. Split second. So you don't need to capitalize that second. Only the first word gets capitalized. So you don't capitalize keywords. The only reason the first letter is capitalized is because it's the beginning of a sentence, basically. So split second. So what you would, and then you need to say target player sacrifices a creature. Oh, so you've said player sacrifices target creature. I see. Okay. So that's a little strange. You don't see that very often, but target player sacrifices target creature. I guess if you want them to do that, you'd have to probably specify it this way. Target player sacrifices target creature. If that creature was Papyrus, all right. That creature. Okay, you gotta do this a little bit differently. If that creature's name is Papyrus the Greatest Skeleton, put 3+1/+1 counters on target creature you control. Okay, so a little rewording there. Okay, so at first I didn't realize that this was targeting a creature for the player to sacrifice. That, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, in a way, it's somewhat novel, right? But it's not always a good thing. And the reason I say that is, okay, so when I read this card for the first time, I didn't even realize this card did that, right? And I think that's going to be the same case for a lot of people that read this card. And which is why, generally, you don't see this thing done, because there are infinity cards in Magic that say target player sacrifices a creature, where it's the target player's choice of which creature to sacrifice, right? There's so many of those that people are going to skim right over this and completely miss that part of it, this card, right? Now, yes, eventually they'll figure it out, but okay, so last video we talked about how Shroud was a bad mechanic because, like, a lot of players didn't realize they couldn't target their own creatures, even though you can figure it out by the wording, right? But it just sort of wasn't obvious. And this is sort of a similar issue here, where it's like everyone's so familiar with this wording that they're going to completely miss this fact a lot of the time, right? So while this is novel and it makes this card like better against certain types of cards, like for example cards with indestructible, right? I don't think it's worth that sort of loss in, you're kind of going outside of the paradigm here of target player sacrifices a creature, and I don't think that's worth it. I don't think that's worth the cost you're paying, basically. So I would prefer if this just said destroy target creature, or, if you want it to get around indestructible, you could say target creature gets, who knows, -10/-10, or exile target creature, right? Any of those things do similar things to target player sacrifices a creature. Or, excuse me, target player sacrifices target creature. So, I would probably avoid that if I were you. This other text is just, I don't know. It's there. It's not going to come up very often, it feels like. I mean, Papyrus is like a rare, I think. So, this will almost never happen in limited. Well, in limited, it'll happen like, I don't know, 5% of games or something like that. Whatever. Not even that. Probably way less than that. So, this text is kind of just flavor. It's kind of just there for flavor, right? It basically doesn't exist outside of the flavor aspect. And this card has Split Second. Split Second, that's an old mechanic. And I don't know how I feel about Split Second. I mean, Split Second is, again, similar to Hexproof in a lot of ways, in that you can't respond to a card with Split Second, right? So it reduces interaction, right? It's kind of a similar issue. And again, okay, let's take a look. When was the last time that Wizards printed Split Second? Split Second. Boop. I think it was just the one set, right? Or am I mistaken? Okay, well, hey. Look, Modern Horizons, that doesn't count. Doesn't count. I say, the new Capenna Commander has it. Wow, look at that. Okay, Croson Grip, that's an older card. Sulfur Elemental. There's not too many, I don't think, that have it. Hidden. Okay, so there are some commander cards here that have them, so I'm not surprised to see you put that on there. Okay. Well, it's a thing, but it's a rare thing. So, yeah, I mean, I don't hate it as much as Hexproof, but I'm still not the biggest fan of it. But yeah, I don't know. Again, like I said, I don't really know how I feel about Split Second. It's not something that I would put on my cards, I guess, is what I would say. But that's sort of my choice as a designer versus your choice as a designer. Okay, so basically, this is a 5-mana destroy target creature, which is a fine card. I mean, nowadays I guess it has Split Second, so it's probably worth the uncommon cost here, or the uncommon rarity. So you probably wouldn't want this on a common, but on an uncommon card, yeah, I see why this is uncommon. You could probably cheapen this card, honestly. Like 5-mana destroy a creature is like, it's fine, but that's like sort of common level, and this is an uncommon. You could probably make this like 2 black, and it would be fine. So yeah, I mean, not a ton else to say about this card. I mean, it's certainly a fine card. So yeah, I mean, this is, I think this card's maybe a little overcosted. There's some formatting issues once again. And we talked about this wording here. So I think for those reasons, I'll give this one a 3 out of 5. It's a fine card. But I think it could use a few adjustments. So yeah, that's my review of Papyrus's Death. Thank you for watching.